Yeah, this is Bang Bang Rahil. Please press the like button and subscribe. A few people have asked me about Albany Prison, a little bit about Albany in the 70s. I went to Albany Prison in about the 74, 73, 74 mark, and went to A-Wing, met a few people in A-Wing, Terry Vowels, and there's a few people in A-Wing that wasn't in there that long, few days. And then I went to C-Wing, Peter Kelly, Lowell Gibbons, Laurie Mann, Finally Pope. I don't think the two Barry brothers, John and Parky Barry. There's quite a few people in there. Anyway, I used to go down the gym regular, and when I started going down the gym, there was a big guy there, big Irish guy with a beard. John McDonough, his name was. Nice guy, but like a mountain, mate. He was massive, mate. He was really big man with a beard, yeah. And I liked him, John. A very powerful man. He'd done lots of squats, yeah. He was always doing squats. His legs were massive, yeah. And he wasn't doing so much of anything else, really. A few squats, a few curls, a little bit of bench. He wasn't doing much bench, but he was doing lots of squats, yeah. Anyway, after a while, I got a job in the kitchen. Albany kitchen was really, really good, but Albany as itself was really good, yeah, because you could buy anything out of the canteen you wanted, really. You could buy legs of lamb, chickens, roast beef, anything you wanted out of the canteen. And a lot of people in Albany had lots of money, and they used to get other people. You could only allow to spend, I think it was about 15 quid, 10, 15 quid a week, yeah? So what they would do, they would get other people, they would say to other people, look, buy me canteen, and I'll send you £20 worth of money, buy me £40 worth of canteen, so every week I'll give you £20 for yourself. And a lot of people had it, mate. A lot of people could spend 30, 40 quid, not every week, but consistently, and they get their 20 and 30 quid all the time sent into them, yeah. So it was a good thing. Anyway, I eventually went in the kitchen. Big John McDonough was in the kitchen. He was on the coppers. I went straight in the washing up, and as the first job you really get, really. But loved it. I mean, I loved working in the kitchen. I didn't mind washing up, but the only thing in washing up, you used to get big rashes down the side of the arm, yeah, with a soap. Anyway, and then the PO in there, he gave me a job on the bakers, yeah, and I started learning to do bread and the rolls and do all sorts of bakes and make all sorts of cakes and apple pies, apple crumbles, all these sort of things, you know what I mean? And after a while, I become a good baker. I used to go there in the morning and put the dough in there, make the bread, with the yeast, but I used to nick the yeast. And I had the keys to the yeast thing. The PO used to give me the key. Didn't mind. I'd go in there, take a little bit of yeast. But what I used to do with the yeast, I used to swallow it, put it in my mouth, chew it, and the saliva, get a bit of milk and bump down, and it used to thin the blood out. So when I was to train, it used to make your blood thinner so you get more of a pump. That's what I believed, and it works, yeah. Tom Lashley, big black guy, massive guy, mate, massive. He was the one who told me to do that. And I used to drink lots of green water, anything to do with vegetables. I used to drink the water, carrot water, anything with potato water, anything like that I used to drink, yeah. Bit of pepper, bit of salt, I was just bump down it, anything. People go, just drink water. No, we used to drink everything. The potato water, the cabbage water, the carrot water, anything like that we should drink, yeah. And anyway, because it's good for you as protein and everything, but it does your bowels good as well, yeah. But getting with this yeast, I was getting massive. And Big John, my mate John McDonough, he got into the yeast. He was a nice fella, John, about 6'5", 6'6" maybe. Come from Ireland, a big murder case in England. But anyway, John was always not crying. He wasn't on my wing, he was on D wing. But he was always, getting letters from his mum, his family in Ireland, you know, and he wanted to go back to Ireland to see his family because they couldn't come over here, so he wanted to go over there to an Irish prison and do the rest of his bird over there so he could see his family. But they wouldn't let him go, you know. They just refused to let him go. The government refused to let him go. So in the end, it got a bit out of hand, you know, it got a bit out of hand. John was going a bit mad about it. And he got involved with another Irish guy, I forget his name now. And at that time, Albany exercises, the exercise yard outside Albany, outside the actual wings, yeah, you had a big house there, which was, you know, do all the psychology things, and like big classrooms, yeah. And you had another bit where the army used to be an army barracks, a big army barracks, yeah. And there was a big, massive, great big tunnels under Albany where they used to have all the armory and all that game. And you used to get in there, ferret people that had ferrets, yeah. You had a ferret party, they go into this underground thing, collecting, killing all the rats. Yeah, there's loads of rats in Albany. Every night you look out the window, millions of rats running around, yeah. Of all the food, but it come out of the armory, yeah, underneath all the wings. So anyway, So it was, Albany was a big place, yeah, but it never had no fences around it at that time. No fences, not fences maybe by the wall, but not fences inside the nick to make it a prison within a prison within a prison, yeah. But it was only Lord Mountbatten that done that. When Lord Mountbatten somehow had bombing and all that game, he made it so prisoners couldn't get out of prisons. So they made it the prison within a prison within a prison, had a fence, another fence, and the wall, yeah? So it was just 3 prisons in one, yeah? So the fences really segregated the whole nick, yeah? But at that time, they wasn't there. And so everybody could run around the yard or walk around the yard in the afternoons before night time when you go on the green. You go on the big green down the bottom, yeah? Then it's that had the fence around it, but when I first went there, it didn't have it there, yeah? Anyway, so Big John is getting involved with this other guy in B Wing, yeah? So they'd come out and exercise night, they'd be walking around, there'd be loads of them walking around, all talking and running and all this, that and the other. And just one day, we was all walking around the yard, a nice sunny day, and very rarely did I see John come out there. He never used to come out to the yard much, you know. But he come out with a few people, and he had a big jacket on, massive jacket, you know. And he's a big guy anyway, you couldn't see that he had anything underneath it, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden, we were walking around, bang, he went, mate. He shot up to the wing, our wing, which is C wing, yeah. So he shot up the C wing, up the drain pipe, up, because C wing was the nearest wing to the yard, yeah. Because B wing was over that way a bit more, and the C wing was directly in front of it. D wing was there, and you had E wing. Anyway, so he's gone, choom, up the drain pipe. At that time, they didn't have no cement around the drain pipe, yeah. Just up the drain pipe, and then about 4, 5, 6 other people followed him. Just followed him. But under his coat, and under their coats, a couple of them, they had ropes, yeah? Big ropes and things like that, yeah? And they made up these hooks, like metal hooks and everything, yeah? So they got up in there, on the roof. They ran along to the roof to the gymnasium, where they got onto the gymnasium and made like beds, little beds. But this is 1976, yeah? This is 1976, the hottest summer ever. Temperatures have gone mad. I think it's 102, 103 sometimes. It went mad. It went mad in the summer in 76. So it was boiling, yeah? So they was all there, and it was all nice, and that time in the afternoon, and night times come, it was all nice, it's laying out there. But after a while, it started to get hot, and then they started to get on the wings, lowering down their ropes that they had wrapped around their bellies with the hooks on, and people was putting like bottles of milk, you know, and this, that and the other, and tying flasks up because everybody was allowed a flask, yeah? So what people used to do is make their cocoa, coffee, tea in the flasks, and at night time in Albany, because it was electric prison, as you walk into the door, as the door's here, as you walk into the door, you've got buttons here on the right hand side, yeah, for the door to open and lock and all this crap. But you know, at certain times, yeah? So the red button comes on and the lock, click, it's up, the boom, and the green button comes when it's open, yeah? So you go in, press the button at night time, you press the button, and you come and wait, you go on the waiting list, and you're waiting. So that people get straight in, press the button, so you're on the waiting list, yeah? So you might get out 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, and you're only allowed out for 10 minutes, yeah? Have a shower. But what people do, because they have flasks and all that sort of thing, people fill up with coffee, cocoa, tea, and put the flasks outside people's cells. So people come out of the cell, have a nice cup of tea or a flask of tea, you know, or whatever, just have a cup of tea and send it to someone else, you know. That's what they should do all night, sandwiches and all that, drugs, everything. It'd be exactly the same way. That's how it'd be done, yeah. Anyway, but it's nothing. John's on the roof, and what they do, they lie down their rope with the hooks on, and you just, whatever they want, they get cigarettes, sweets, food, you know. And me being in the kitchen, I was on the what's bakers, yeah. So I was number one in the bakers by that time, and because I was number one in the bakers, I used to take all the rubbish out from the bakers, all the stuff from the bakery, all the old stuff, all the old what's left over, all the old bread, or rolls, or people left things that left over, just take it out of the back, chuck it out of the back. But what I used to do is get people in the kitchen, to people on the bakers, not people on the bakers, people on the coppers, other people on this, people on that, to get things out and put them in bags, yeah, put in a big potato sack that I used to take out and leave it out there for the guys on the roof. But when I used to go out there with my lot, I used to pick it up and give it to them, yeah? And they used to run away with all their bits and pieces like that. But I think there was I'm not quite sure there was cameras just on the roof part of it, yeah, then, yeah? So, I can't remember anyway. So when they chuck all the stuff up to John, not John McDonough, but all the other people, they used to run across the roofs, yeah? And it was flat roof down, and they had the wings on it coming off of it, yeah? And they used to get onto the gym and just have their tea and whatever they'd have. But it got to a stage where they had helicopters, big helicopters, going around the neck, taking pictures like BBC or ITV or whatever. I'd love to get the papers of it, yeah? When they got to Albany and took pictures of it, it might be just on the Isle of Wight they'd done it, yeah? But being it was a helicopter, it might have come from the other side, Portsmouth, yeah? Or whatever. But I'd love to be able to get the paper, because that on one of the papers, they had big John McDonough as in his face, but in King Kong, in a gorilla's body, with John McDonough's face on top, pulling a helicopter out of the sky. It was fantastic, you know what I mean? As a joke, you know. And what it was then, the government went mad because the helicopters were coming down too low. They was coming down too low and taking pictures and getting them to talk and shout out, yeah, but it was coming down too low. So then they told them, if they come down to too low, they're going to be escorted from the prison by other helicopters and all this, that and the other, when they land or whatever. So they had to go higher, yeah. Anyway, so they was up there for about, I don't know, maybe a week, maybe less than that, I'm quite sure. There was Johnny Patton was one of the people on there. Johnny Patton was on D-Wing at that time. I don't think he was on, I can't remember him on being on Albany, C-Wing, I think he was on D-Wing, yeah. And there was a few people up there that are just handfuls, you know what I mean? John McDonough, big Paddy, mate, he was an handful, him, do you know what I mean? They tried a few times to get up there and sort it out, and John McDonough and others would run towards them, but because the heat was so heavy, they become weak. So what the screws did, I mean, that really is to get what they done with it in a way was like unbelievable. They brought scaffolding up, yeah, and they crisscrossed it like that, yeah, and they put all that razor wire on it, so they couldn't jump from the gym. They could jump from the gym onto the roof, but they couldn't go no further. They couldn't get onto the wings to load down the things to get their water, and that's a bit over the top, because they're causing big problems for people on the roof that, you know, that are dehydrating. But they don't care, do they? They don't care what they do, you know what I mean? So, I mean, a lot of them was like really getting dehydrated. I mean, Big John come down. He was a big guy because he needed water, you know, his body. He come down with them. They was black. Honestly, when I say they was black, they was like my t-shirt, mate. No, not as dark as that, but they was black, mate, with the sun and red. But been up there and it was all looked well healthy. The heads had gone like blondie colour, you know. But you can imagine they was gasping for water. Couldn't get water up to them. But sometimes we did see people because that was on the way to the visiting room. You know, you had that part of that was the gymnasium where they was on top of the gym, yeah. But it was very high, and people would try and throw up bottles of water from the milk bottles, yeah. Fill them up with water and throw them up, you know, and get nicked for it, you know what I mean? But everybody tried to help them up there, yeah. But eventually, John McDonough come down, about 5 come down. They left Johnny Patton. Johnny Patton wouldn't come down. No way, he was stubborn, John. And he was a lunatic, a complete out-and-out lunatic, Johnny Patton. Nice guy, mate. And he didn't care for anybody. He really didn't care. And in the end, he had to come down because it looked like he collapsed up there and they got that under the bar and they get up there and get him down, yeah. I'm not quite sure how they got him down. People never see that side of it. We couldn't see that side of it yet, yeah? Anyway, so they got him down eventually. I took him to Parkhurst, to the hospital in Parkhurst, because Albany didn't have an hospital at all, nothing like that in Albany. Everything was in Parkhurst, yeah. Took him to Parkhurst. And they reckoned it was critical, yeah, because it burnt all his kidneys and his liver. I think it's his kidneys. It burnt all something kidneys, I think it was. It's really made a bad state of him, yeah. He was like a crisp, mate. He just didn't want to come down. He was in a bad way. And they sent him to Parkhurst. And whilst he was at Parkhurst, they put him on the wings after about 6 months from him being done in the block. They put him on the wing. I mean, this is a story. I'm only telling you what we were told on the wings, yeah? What happened. Big John, Johnny Patton, he was in Parkhurst. He got involved with another guy, I think a Scottish guy. This Scottish guy was had a card school, yeah? And there was a lot of money passing over, like tobacco. People were putting money into people's properties and all that sort of thing, and they was buying canteens and paying them that way, yeah? So this Scottish guy, Johnny Patton, I think Johnny Patton had a couple of days off, I think, and he was ill or something. And when Johnny Patton went down to the cell, because he was partners with this guy hadn't told John about X amount, and John got to find out that he was just having him over for money. Johnny Patton was really pissed off of it, yeah? And he said to the guy, "You're going to get it, mate. Don't worry about that. I'm going to do you for that, yeah?" Without a shadow of doubt, right? The Scottish guy had a big blade, come towards Johnny Patton. Johnny Patton stayed well away from him. Johnny Patton got someone in the kitchen to get a boning knife, yeah? One of the guys in the kitchen come out with a boning knife, but he got out of it, but then they closed the prison down because now they're looking for a boning knife. And to look for a boning knife or knife in prison, they're looking for it big time. But they didn't catch it. They didn't get it. It was put down big time. They never got the knife, yeah? And Johnny Patton eventually got the knife. He bought the knife for someone. Johnny Patton then went in to the guy's cell and stabbed him about 5, 6, 7 times, really bad with a boning knife, and killed him. And then Johnny Patton, that's one of the biggest troubles of prison, yeah? Prison, you can be doing 2 months, you could be doing 10 years, mate, or you could do 15 years and get to the end of your sentence. And one thing might upset you, somebody might do something they shouldn't have done. You've allowed it for all the time, but that one time you didn't allow it, and you could kill someone and go and get a recommended life of 30 years, 20 years or whatever in prison. You know, and that's what happened to Johnny Patton. Johnny Patton was doing the 12. He was nearly finished his 12 when it came on top, the guy was going to stab him up. So then he got the boning knife, stabbed the guy to death, and then Johnny Patton got a life, yeah, for that. Johnny Patton was then took to Winchester, not Wakefield, and Johnny Patton was put in a cage, the same as Bronson, you know, same as Bronson and Charles Bronson. Was with Johnny Patton, and we was told that him and Johnny Patton got on really, really well. I'd love to find out from a few people, like Lee Wolseley, my mate Lee Wolseley, who writes Lonnie McLean's books and a few other people's books. He was going to write my book, but something happened, he didn't get to do it. But Lee Wolseley, he has contacts with certain people, like who I just said, right, in Wakefield, you know, at that time. So he might be able to find out about Johnny Patton. You know, he might be able to find out if he's still there through Bronson, Charles Bronson, get hold of him and find out if Patton's still there. But I don't think he is. I think he moved on or he died. I'm not quite sure. But Johnny Patton, nice guy, mate. And poor John, when John come down from the rooftop, I believe they took him to Hull or Gartree or one of them prisons out there. And he never got to Ireland. He never got to see his mother in Ireland or nothing like that, you know. And that, I mean, they do these sort of things, the government and, you know, Home Office. And it's the same thing about George Wilkinson. When I was in the kitchen at Chelmsford Prison, and you know, I was a big lump. I was a big man, you know, and I didn't take no shit from anybody, and I was a big powerful man. So in a way, they asked me to do them a favour. I was in the kitchen, and I was called down to the chief one, big crown. You know, that Chelmsford Prison was without a shadow of a doubt the easiest and the best prison you could ever go to. It was absolutely fantastic prison, mate. Just get everything that you wanted, everything. Anyway, so I was in the kitchen. All I had on was a vest. I was on the bakers doing the bread, and they come in and said, "Look, number one chief would like to see you downstairs in the office." They took me down there. I thought, "Oh, what have I done?" You know what I mean? Because I was always doing silly things, yeah. So I went down in, and number one chief said, "What, we've got a guy, a convict called Wilkinson." I thought it was Jimmy Wilkinson, but it wasn't Jimmy Wilkinson. It was a guy called George Wilkinson. And what George Wilkinson done, George Wilkinson, I think it was at Parkhurst, he took a hostage. Listen, there's someone trying to phone me on my phone. I know you can hear it, yeah? So I'm trying to talk to you for a little bit of time until that person comes off the phone, yeah? So I can finish this, or I finish it another day. I let the one, I know, it drives me mad, you know, when you're trying to do a podcast and someone phones your phone. There's nothing worse than that, you know what I mean? So let me keep on about it. So anyway, so when the chief called me into the office, and told me about a geezer called Wilkinson, and said to me, look, Wilkinson, right, he's just come from Parkhurst. What he did, he got hold of a woman, welfare woman. He got in a cell. He wouldn't let her out. He wanted a helicopter, and he wanted to get off the island. Listen, they ain't gonna do that. But what they agreed to do was, okay, you give us that woman. We give you someone else, because the woman's not too well. We'll give you someone else. But what they did, they give him someone, but he slipped his handcuffs. He had some sort of handcuff. He slipped out of it, yeah. And so then they steamed into George Wilkinson. They battered him to death. They smashed him to pieces. He was such in a bad way. From Parkhurst, they smashed him to pieces. Then at every block they put him in, and then they killed the geezer, like they did with me. And he wound up in Chelmsford Prison in a bad way. He's a big guy, red hair, a big guy, mate. And they put him on our wing, C wing, and they asked me to look after him. I said, yeah, of course. I thought it was Jimmy, but it wasn't. It was George. So yeah, of course I look after him. And the first day, I went in to see him. He talked like this, oh, man, again, all that, because he was complete monged out with all what they give him, like actual chips of soul, magadone, all sorts of drugs, pills like you wouldn't believe, yeah? And they give him a liquid, they give him something liquid in a little cup about that big, yeah? The little blue cups, but could be, I don't know, liquid kosh, I don't know what it is, yeah? So one day I could hear the noise, the commotion downstairs, and the rush downstairs goes into the cell, and he's got this guy was as weak as a kitten, but upset him, and he was like a gorilla, strong, mate. Welched into the cell, and in Chelmsford, they had quite them big, high, round top cells, yeah, really high. And he picked up a big locker above his head, and he was going to bash the screws. Woo! Went mad, you know, went mad. I walked in, I said, George, put it down. I was right. Oh, fucking hell, get me out of here. Oh, anyway, so I eventually got him up to go to my cell. I said, look, go up to my cell, I'll clean your cell up, I'll come up, make a nice cup of tea, and we'll have a nice sandwich. I was in the kitchen, I had lots of stuff in my cell anyway. So he said, all right. I said, but don't smash my cell up, George. My cell was the business, yeah, really clean, everything I wanted in there. I said, don't smash my cell up, George. Not like I could do about the guy was a giant. All right. So when he went up the cell, and I'm cleaning his cell out now, he's got, oh, mate, he's got poo everywhere, yeah? Because you ain't got toilets in your cell them days. It was only outside in the recess, yeah? So he had poo everywhere, pills everywhere. I cleaned it all up for him, right? And, you know, I felt sorry for this guy, mate, a big time. I went up to my cell, made him tea, sandwiches, and all this, yeah? And then I started taking him down the gym with me to try and train with me, yeah? And he became really weak. He was just a weak guy, but he was getting better and better. I tried to get him off the drugs. I said, look, get him off the drugs. And they said, no, there's no way we can get him off there. The guy's too violent. He needs drugs to keep him calm, yeah? And it's all about he wanted to see his mum. You know, she was in another part of Liverpool or something, like Hull or something, and he wanted to see her. And then when they sent him to Parkhurst, it's too far. His mum couldn't get him. She's an old woman, yeah? So that's what they do. They keep you well away. If they punish you in other ways, yeah? If they can't control you, they punish you in other ways. But they couldn't control him. So in Chelmsford, he was getting better, you know? I was looking after him, he was getting better and better and better. And just one day I was down the gym, and what he did, he walked into the television room, and you know, Ronnie Bender, Frankie Fraser, the old man Tibbsies, all the Tibbsies in there, Alan Dixon. You got Togi Ludlow, my little lot. You got a few people in there, dangerous people, yeah. Terry Millman from the Dome Robbery. You got loads of people in there. You know, Lou Swallow. Oh, they're all watching telly, right? What does he do? He goes in there, goes to the telly, it's up here, up in the air, and turns it over. And they're telling him to put it back. What does he do? Pick the television up, right? He's going to smash it on the floor. Oh, smash the telly. Now they're going to want to kill him. So now the alarm bell goes on, because you've got a screw always in there because of any aggro. The alarm bell goes off. They're running in there, right? I'm down the gym. I'm coming up from the gym, and then I hear about him being took down to the chokey, right? But Chelmsford chokey, right, is a good chokey. It's not like a normal chokey. It's quite a good, decent chokey down there, because when I got bashed up and this, that, and the other, or wound up in Chelmsford Prison at the very end, it was like being in a normal cell, you know, your locker, your cot, your bed, and all the, and, you know, the mattress on it and all that. You might have to take the mattress out later, but everything's in it, you know. All the others had nothing in it but a cardboard, you know. Anyway, so he's in there. He's in the block one, right? The block one is not like a normal block. It's not like a padded cell. All they got in there is mattresses, yeah? Mattresses on top of each other, right? And George is on there, but they're rushing around looking for a bag. they're rushing around looking for a plastic bag. And why are they looking for a plastic bag? To put over his face to find out if he's still alive, because they think they've killed him. So whatever they've done to him, from C-ring to the block, they've done something to him that's they've knocked him out, or done something that's, you know. And when I went to see, I went to the chief, said, "Let me go and talk to him." They said, "He's done, you know." I said, "Yeah." And the chief took me down with another couple of screws, and they're all fucking outside the cell, and a couple in the cell with the plastic bag, and they're saying to the chief, talk, you know, we feel that he's not breathing, but he did, and he woke up. Yeah, they steamed into him. Obviously, they steamed into him. You know what I mean? They best him up or give him something. Yeah. So he asked to see me. You know. And as obviously I was outside, he must have heard my voice or whatever. I walked in and said, "All right, George." He went, "Ray, please, I'm sorry. I won't ever do it again. I'm sorry. Please don't let them take me out of prison. I like it here, Ray. I don't want to go. Please, let me stay here. I'm so sorry. Tell them, everyone, I'm so sorry, please." Well, what he did, he actually did smash the telly. You know, he smashed the telly. And to get another telly was like maybe a couple of 3 days, and everybody's watching series, and they're all off their fucking nuts. You know, you've got people that want to kill people, or people that are there for killing people, and they want to hurt him. They don't want him back on the wing. You know, I'm trying to get him back on the wing. Leave him alone, it's okay, yeah? But you've got nutters in, and like Big Peter Lyons wants to stab him to death because of this. Everybody's watching series anyway, so he can't come back. They've stopped him coming back, which I think is a bit out of hand. But I'm really just been there not long, you know. So I ain't got really any say as such, yeah. But I'm still a lump, yeah. So but anyway, they said, "Look, he's got to go." This is what the chief said. He's got to go. Well, in the morning he went to what was the Ville. That's what I was told, Pentonville. Whether he went, it was true. He might have went to Brixton, I don't know where he went to. But I was told it was Pentonville. And I was told that they put him in a straitjacket, and they laid him on a bed or something one day, and he got out of the straitjacket and smashed the place up, the hospital up, and they sedated him. And he was sent about all the prisons in England. They give him, it's in a book, yeah, and it's called Frightened for Your Life, yeah. I'm in that book. Just a little bit of me about time I looked after him. It's called my number is 131 549 Hill, right? That's my number in them times, yeah. So I'm in the book, Fighting for Your Life with George Wilkinson, yeah. But they eventually killed George. When he eventually did get to see his mum, he didn't even remember. He didn't even know what his mum looked like. He couldn't even talk to her. He was so far gone on the amount of drugs they give him, and they killed him. They killed George. It was like, you know, when I get the book, I read the book. You read this book, it'll make you cry. It'll make you cry. The amount of stuff they give this geezer, it was like just mad. Anyway, this is Bang Bang Radio. Please press the like button and subscribe, and have a nice day, yeah? Bye. Or nice evening.